Hello friends, my name is Christopher. Today is the 1st of September 2020, and this is what's growing in Wisconsin. As always, this is not a comprehensive list since I can't grow everything that the state has to offer, but I'm growing a lot. We're in Zone 5A, and we're going to bypass the orchard today because nothing has really changed. Maybe this much growth, but pretty much getting ready for the fall, and we're going to jump right in through the gate. Just kidding. Before we go through the gate, figured I'd show you the raspberries. You should be able to tell just by looking. There's lots of dark red everywhere. I just picked, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago, so there's not a whole lot of dark red. I don't like to keep them on the vine after they're like pickable for more than 3 or 4 days. Otherwise, they'll get too dark red, and then they just get covered in bees, and they don't taste as good to me. But I can walk and pick up a branch, you know, pull off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at a time. These are lovely. They're a little smaller than normal. I know the focus is kind of going to suck. They're smaller than normal because August was exceptionally dry. It was hot and dry. It was a drought for the better part of 2 weeks. So I started to have to bring my hose out and do some watering, but at that point there's only so much you can do, especially with perennials like this. I just rely on rain. I really focus on making sure my trees are okay. And some of my bushes, I lost all the barrels, but their time had come. So it's raspberry time. Yay! Now we can go on in. Well, for starters, I've picked a ton of beans, and they're on their last legs. I am getting some flowers, which, I'll probably get another small picking, but for the most part, beans are done. Got a ton of beans. These are my pole beans. I'm leaving, you might be able to see in frame, I have, a dozen or so that are yellowing and turning brown. I like them to harden and dry out while they're still on the vine. I'll save those seeds for next year. All of the ones through here were shelling beans, runner beans, for shelling. And I picked just a ton, and I've got those in a great big mason jar, so ready for the time when I make a soup, and I can just hydrate them overnight and add them and have my own homegrown white bean substitute. Should be pretty delicious. Most of the morning glories, I'm getting some really nice seed packets out of them. I'm going to try to save some of them. Like, for example, I just picked this off, and if you can see the little, oh yeah, it's hard to get the focus to focus on my hand when I come up this close. Yeah, these little black seeds are for my morning glories. I'll save these dark purple ones, just so I have them for next year, but I really want to save these pink ones. Right here, it's just that time of the day, where they've closed up, but you can still see the pretty pink from the end. It's a mutation, or maybe it was a pollination issue. I think my neighbors had some white morning glories they said they planted that didn't last, but I don't see them anywhere. Maybe they thought the bee carried a pollen from the whites to the purples and made pink. I really don't know enough about flower genetics to tell you how it happened, but I will be saving these seeds to see if I can get like a pink variety that, comes back year after year. That should be kind of cool. This was a very bad year for me for my squash. I had an infestation of squash bugs that once it started, I couldn't stop it. And I couldn't get rid of it. I tried so hard to be on top of things early on, but they went rampant. This is the only squash that I've been able to grow, aside from spaghetti squash, the only one. So I don't know, I'm thinking about not doing any squash next year to maybe just kill them off in my area. Don't know how they got here necessarily in the first place, but I need to do something. So if we're going to do a scorched earth method, so to speak, so be it. But I am for sure not going to do any sort of gourds on my arch trellis anymore. I think I'm just going to do beans and peas, real light things, and flowers, because I like the way it looks, and they last longer, and they don't warp any of the fencing. So, speaking of this arched trellis, I had a very nice response to my Q&A video. Thank you very much. If you haven't seen that Q&A on the build of this trellis. Everything in the barrels is essentially done. This was a zucchini, this was ground cherries, these were flax. I'll save the flax seeds. I can use those for linseed oil or to save them to plant next year. I won't do them in barrels. They're not deep enough. I'll do peppers in barrels next year. I needed to save some of my herbs. I still have some basil there that I can use, otherwise I've got seeds for saving. Looks like some parsley's coming up too. Now that it's cooling off again, they're not just going to seed. Mint is fine. The peppers in the back are really doing well. I've got a lot of peppers of different varieties, small hot peppers, some habanero peppers, and then just some sweet peppers too. So I'll do peppers in my barrels next year. I harvested the radishes that were behind me. Yum, yum, yum. The Yukon Golds here are starting to get yellow. I'm not sure if that was a result from the drought and they're just recovering still or not. But they're on their way out. Time is ticking. I'm either going to harvest them at the end of this month or for sure the beginning of October. Carrots, this year, instead of picking them all at different sizes all at once and then processing them and freezing them, I've just been waiting until they're big enough and then I've been picking them one by one. And it's nice because things that would have otherwise been thinned out are getting the time that they need to grow. And I haven't bought carrots in the store in a while. I'll just come out here and pluck them and go. This space, this was the red Norland potatoes. And I did a second seeding. I did a couple zucchini plants, 2 zucchini plants. I threw in just a line of zinnias and a cabbage. Is that a cabbage? A cauliflower there. I don't think the cauliflower is going to have enough time. We'll find out. But the 2 zucchini, the late season zucchini, are doing really nicely. I actually have zucchini plants. And for some reason, the squash bugs aren't over here killing them, so that's great. And I have flower heads on my zinnias, so a nice late season color surprise. And speaking of color surprise, haha! As the sun peeks out through the overcast, I just love the giant zinnias. They're so cool. The normal ones are really lovely too. I got like a pink, orange, yellow, red situation going on. I think I will always have them in the garden, and they're good fillers for in-between space too. Add some nice verticality, the pollinators love them, and they make nice cut flowers. I've really been happy with these. The tomatoes are doing well. I think in frame you can see some of these yellow tomatoes. I just picked a whole bunch. We're going to have tomato soup and grilled cheese this week. The spaghetti squash is awfully sickly looking. You can see it originates right here. And then we've got this gray, powdery yuck. But at the same time, I've harvested 1, 2, 3. I got 1, 2 there for sure. 1 might be on the other side of the fence. So we'll for sure get 5 plants, 5 squash out of this. But it did not like the drought. And, wouldn't you know, squash bugs. I'm this close to just ripping it out and being done, I thinned out my brassicas because I planted them too closely together, wouldn't you know? But I was able to save 1, 2, 3, 4 heads of cabbage. They'll be medium-small size, but they're firm and they're growing well, so they should be tasty. They just won't be giant heads. That's okay. And then 2 Brussels sprouts. I think by now they should have bigger actual sprouts on them. They are forming at the bottom. They're just about marble-sized. I definitely learned not to plant these so close to corn, which is behind me. It's obstructing too much sunlight, and that's definitely why I didn't have good cauliflower, because they were just stretching to reach for the sun. Lessons learned for next year. Either way, I'm glad I thinned these out. We'll be harvesting and eating these this month. I ended up having 5 Mammoth Sunflowers. They reached about 9 feet tall, except for this one, who's only about 6 feet. Very lovely, charming. It's the last one. I saved seeds with one of them, otherwise the squirrels got to them before I did, which is okay. I did my seeds, my sunflower seed saving video is very popular for my channel, and I'm glad I did it last year. I didn't end up enjoying the taste, so I didn't save any for eating this year, just for giving away and for planting next year, and that's okay, There's nothing wrong with that. They're a beautiful flower to enjoy. I'm just rambling now. Anyways, hey, here's my corn. Corn is nice and tall. Go! And it looks pretty too. It's nice rainbow corn. I harvested one that was mature just to take a look at it on the inside. It's got maybe 4 or 5 colors to it. I thought it would be a little bit more luxurious looking than that, but who knows? I'll wait to pass judgment fully until I harvest all of them. So I'm fingers crossed, but so far we're doing better than we have before. I should be able to harvest the corn, use the corn itself as a harvest time decoration, and the stalks, and then after a month or two of drying out, you know, shuck the kernels off, and should be good popcorn. I'd say not putting the cart before the horse, but mission accomplished this year for the corn. I don't recall what this flower is. My wife planted it, and it's perfect in here. I think it's a shade variety, and it's grown so nicely. This color looks great with this color. I'm really satisfied with it, and I just had to say it on camera at least once. Our giant hydrangea bush, as you can see, is starting to dry out, but it was so full this year. Incredibly pleased with it, and we maximized the usage of it. Cut a lot of these, brought the flowers inside, gave them away so more people could enjoy it in different spaces. Very, very happy with it. I will definitely prune it again this February. It's been, I think, 2 or 3 years since I gave it a good hearty pruning, and it likes to come back nicely after a good pruning, so always keep that in mind, that pruning is important. And that's pretty much it. I don't have many flowers that are in bloom right now. We've got some cone flowers and black-eyed Susans, but that's the extent of it. It's been a good year. I will do one more garden tour at the beginning of October, and then in October, in the middle of the month, you know, the leaves will all fall and the snow will fly, and a bee! Ooh! Or a wasp. It wasn't anything, just kidding. Snow will fly, and then we'll be done with the garden. I gotta check exactly what that was on my foot, so I'm gonna go now. You have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. Bye.